Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Should you play Monster Hunter World? Now if you're new here, welcome to the channel. We cover all things gaming and tech related, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any awesome content. So let's get started, shall we? Monster Hunter World is a pretty epic game. If you like hunting giant monsters, it's got it. If you like crafting a whole range of items, it's got it. If you like pretty intense and challenging but great fun content, it's got it. And if you like dressing your pig up in a sexy outfit, it's got it. What? Yeah, it does have that. Basically, Monster Hunter World puts you in a fantasy world where you go off and you basically do what it says on the tin and you hunt down different monsters that are basically terrorizing your new camp that you're trying to set up. You go off to discover all the different types of monsters in the locations, hunt them down, gather all your supplies, and craft numerous weapons. And in the meantime, it is just a ton of fun killing this entire range of different monsters. One of the things that stands out about this game is just its combat. It's so much fun, and it has one hell of a learning curve. When I first started out with this game, I absolutely hated it. But after giving it a real good shot and sinking a few hours into it, I started to kind of get to grips with the mechanics of it, how to block, dodge, roll, and attack all these different things, and ultimately it just becomes absolutely loads of fun. There are an absolute huge range of different monsters, and there's also loads of different variants of them, so it never really starts to get dull. And the way the monsters react within their scenery and how they react to different monsters that show up as well, you can end up with some really epic looking battles with these two like dragons going at it as you're trying to hunt one down, and it is absolutely loads of fun. It looks great, it plays great, and the whole thing is a really fun experience. Now, in my opinion, this game works best when you go off with a group of friends. So you can group up with up to 3 other people and take them along for the ride with you. And that's when it gets really fun because you can play off your different kind of character types. So one of our guys plays with this giant weird horn thing and it kind of buffs us, whereas the other ones are more combat based. And that group play just becomes a whole different challenge as you're hunting down these different types of monsters and going through it. Another thing to love about the game is the different landscapes. So you've got things like your forest landscape, desert landscapes, there's like a lava pit. If you get the Iceborne expansion, you go across to obviously an icy sort of landscape as well. And there's loads of different sort of places you can explore, different things you can do, and you can use the scenery to your advantage as well. So when fighting different monsters, you can learn how to use things like breaking the rocks down so they fall on them, and there's a lot to it. Like I said, there's a pretty steep learning curve, and even with over 200 hours in the game, I still don't fully understand the whole thing of it because there's just so much to do. It also doesn't lock you down to a certain playstyle, so if you want to switch your weapon type out at any point in the game, you can do that. It's just a case of crafting some new weapons and yeah, switch out. If you want to play with an axe, you can do that. If you want to go with bows, you can do that. If you want to switch across into long swords or shields, you can just switch out whenever you like and just change all your different types of skills and your play style. You're not locked into a certain character class, which I think is really nice because it just allows for you to play a lot more flexibly, and it just gives much more replayability as you go through it. There are numerous different types of quests, so you have your main storyline quests, you have different investigations where you fight more powerful types of the monsters you fought before, there are all sorts of awesome arena challenges, there's just so many things to do. It's got raids, it's got sieges, and you can partner up with massive groups later on in the game, and it just gets really fun. Now, it's not all roses, there are quite a few things that I really disliked, and actually one of the biggest things that I disliked about it was the multiplayer aspect. Like I said, one of the most fun things about this game is going off with a group and playing through it, but when you try and actually progress through the story, which you have to do to be able to remove some of the level caps, it just gets really frustrating. There's loads of cutscenes that you have to go off and do on your own. You can't go off with your group. You can't embark on some levels with your group again, and it just constantly breaks that multiplayer flow. And I don't know why they did this. It just seems absolutely ridiculous. You could all be at the exact same point in the story, but to progress it, you all have to leave the party and go off your own way and then rejoin again, which just gets weird, and it's just frustrating because, like I said, one of the best ways to play this game is with a party of 4 of you, but Capcom just really seems to not like that idea half the time. The game plays so well, and for the most part you can do most of the story aspects, but it just keeps pulling you out of that party, make you go alone, and then rejoins you all again, and it's just weird and something to be, aware of. Another thing that can get really repetitive is just the general game itself. Even though it has loads of different landscape types and you've got different biomes and everything like that, ultimately you will end up doing the same quest over and over again. If you want to make a certain weapon type or a certain armor type out of one specific monster, trust me, you'll end up farming that monster over and over and over again, which can be pretty challenging and pretty good fun at the same time. But on the flip side of that, when you end up fighting the same monster over and over and over and over again, yeah, it can get really repetitive. Now, they have introduced an interesting mechanic later on in the game where you can actually trade in different types of vouchers and different types of things you've discovered to get some of those rarer items that you need, so you don't have to keep on doing the same boss or different monster over and over again, which makes it a bit easier. But there are certain animals that you will just have to farm over and over, so just be aware of that. If you're not into repetitive gameplay, unfortunately, this does have a lot of it. My final dislike about the game is the fact that it can just be so tedious sometimes. You can end up fighting a monster for 30-40 minutes and then get stuck in some kind of combat loop at the end where the monster just gets you against a wall and just hits you in a loop, knocks you down, you stand up, hits you again, and you basically lose the game at that stage, and it makes you want to punch your PC. It is one of the most frustrating things ever when you get stuck like that, and sometimes the game just kind of unbalances and becomes really unfair against you when you get stuck. But I guess that's the same with anything, you're just going to get caught occasionally. So to sum up, this game is definitely for those people who love RPGs that are fast-paced with some awesome combat. It is absolutely great fun, and especially if you can play it with a group of your friends. There's so much to do, and the replayability of this game just seems pretty endless at the moment. Like I said, I've got over 200 hours sunk into this thing, and it still seems there is so much more for me to do, even once all the main story part of it has been completed. There's different types of monsters for me to fight, and even when they are just different variations of the same monster, they all have their own abilities and different types, and yeah, it just feels endless, which is a good thing because you can kind of put it aside for a little while and come back to it. So should you play it? Yeah, like I said, if you're that RPG type who loves that sort of action and just really getting into it, discovering different types of monster, crafting different sort of outfits and weapon types and meshing them all together to see what style works, then this game's for you. Like I said, if you're somebody who just wants something that's relatively casual, that you're not having to repeat loads of gameplay, it's probably not for you, and the story can get pretty cringy at times, just like anything from Capcom really, and that multiplayer sort of imbalance and just not working all the time to get through the story, it's really frustrating, but to be honest, it's worth getting through that teething pain because it's such a fun game to play with friends. And hey, like I said, you get to dress your pig up in some weird little outfits, and you can take a bath with a cat. Who doesn't want to take a bath with a cat? I know I do. So I hope this video has helped. If it has, hit that subscribe button to come along for some more awesome content in the future, and we will be back soon with some more videos. Take care and stay safe. Bye.